I think we all know that in terms of individual conflicts, interpersonal conflicts has its own dynamics and its own character. Group conflicts has another kind of dynamics and another kind of character. And often people try to introduce theories related to individual conflicts to group conflicts. But we can try to say that group conflicts is an entity in its own way. It's a different dynamics. And you can see that. If you have even groups here splitting into two, that the whole, in a way, the collection of a group itself begins to have a life of its own. And we need, therefore, particularly as International Alert is going into group conflicts, to understand the mechanisms and dynamics of group thinking and group collective action. We now also know that between individuals there is conflicts between states and a whole variety of group conflicts. Conflicts of gender, and what we need to look at, another concept which is very important, is a conflict symmetrical or asymmetrical? Often, conflicts which are based on interest or theories which are based on interest talk about symmetrical conflicts. These are when the two parties more or less have equality of either resources or of power. Symmetrical conflicts are easy to negotiate because both sides may know exactly what they want out of the other. It is negotiable. But asymmetrical conflicts are more difficult. Asymmetrical conflicts are the stuff that International Alert deals with. There is one group which is more powerful than the other. Often, an ethnic group may be in conflict with a powerful state. A state has resources, it has power, it has legitimacy. But a group which is challenging the state aspires to legitimacy, aspires to power and resources. How do we then make an asymmetrical conflict a symmetrical conflict? What is the challenge involved in bringing about parity between these two levels? If you look at any of the conflicts that we see, whether it is in Sri Lanka, or in Burundi, or in Rwanda, or anywhere, it is conflicts based on power, power relations. And the power relations are always determined by symmetry and asymmetry. And it is very important, therefore, in discussing conflicts to ask that question about how to bring about symmetry and equality in the power relationships. For example, in Sierra Leone, what we see is an asymmetric conflict which is rapidly becoming symmetrical in character. Both sides know that they have now to meet each other in an equal footing. Finally then, on this, we also have to look at protracted conflicts. And often when we are discussing conflicts, we have to understand the protracted nature of a conflict and the dynamics of that conflict, which I will go into now. The cycles of conflict. All conflicts have a beginning and an end and a middle. Therefore, in looking at the life cycle of a conflict, can we talk of identifying those specific cycles within conflict dynamics? And often, the distinction that is drawn is between the linear approach, which is that conflicts have a progression, and goal-oriented, and conflicts as process, which evolves, and where the end is not known. And our critique of conflict theory has been that often the Western discourse has been dominated by the linear approach to conflict, rather than the process approach to conflict.